So how do we protect our assets, our users, all of it? So I wrote the first topic and I laughed myself when I said common sense. But common sense today is called cyber education or cybersecurity education. And this is something that is pretty much a standard. If you don't really have common sense, it's very difficult to protect an asset or protect anything to be precise. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that I've created the most advanced and elaborate system known to man, and anything that you try to throw at it in terms of vulnerabilities or hacking attempts and tools and all kinds of fantastic things, everything is failing. You're not able to breach it. But if my username and password is 1234 and I'm able to log in with the user, my name or admin password 1234, a lot of things that I've done or a lot of security measures that I've put in place are not really relevant. And in a lot of things, I gave the most standard example, like a password. In a lot of things, it comes down to the concept of security, that if it's missing in any kind of link, it creates all kinds of scenarios where security is irrelevant. And I have a lot of examples, even real world example from like even products that you look at them and they're like super secure, but obviously they forgot something or they didn't do something. And then like, okay, so it's super secure, but if you change one letter, it's not secure. Or it's super secure if you do ABC, but if you don't do it, then it's not secure. There's all kinds of use cases where common sense is basically the concept of having it will make sure your security is safe, your environment is safe, or your users are safe, and not having this common sense will pretty much disable any kind of advanced protection you can throw it out there. So it's very important to have everyone, at least everyone that touch your things or under your protection, to have some kind of level of cyber education. And it's also very important to understand that even the best system can have flaws, and often the flaws come from human or common sense mistakes that people didn't take into consideration. And this is something that you need to be aware of. So the second thing that protects the environment is obviously the security products. And I'm pretty sure that today you have an antivirus software installed on your machine and you have all kinds of things enabled in your environment, either at work or at home, to protect you from the vast majority of threats that exist today. And those things are pretty much the norm. Today, there is no environment without protection or without security products, and there's no environment that doesn't have maybe an antivirus or a firewall and a lot of other products. And I'm going to cover it in the next part of this slide. But it's very important today to understand that security products has come a long way from 30 years ago when they started popping up. There's a lot of tools today that offer security to protect your assets from multiple threats. And today in your environment, even if you're not aware of it, there's already security products either on your side, on your machine, on the network, around you, on the ISP that provides you the internet. There's a lot of security tools in place already. The last thing regarding the protection is the security procedures. It's very important to understand that security is not only a product. It's not only I'll buy the antivirus. It also needs to have a procedure or something in place in order for you to use it or to leverage it to protect your environment. A good example for that is the antivirus. Basically, the principle of having the antivirus scan your machine every night at 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. It's one of the security procedure of the antivirus software. So it says, I'm running on your machine all the time. But once every 24 hours, I'm going to run a full scan on your environment. I'm going to scan all the files again and see if something changes or see if there is a new signature for a threat that exists on your machine. This is an example of an automated security procedure that exists on the device as part of the security products. But some security procedures are something that is more manual or more outside the scope of a security product. I'll give an example. If you have a key card that opens the door to your office, and this key card has a, let's say, a password that opens the door. If you never change this password, even when a key card is lost, then you have a problem. Because if this key card was lost, someone stole it or found it, they're able to access your office with this key card. So this is like a big no-no. You have a violation of security, but you don't really have any security procedure. What happens when a key card gets lost? or what happens when someone wants to change the password to the door, or a new employee comes or an employee leaves and you want to take this card and it doesn't give it back. So a lot of security procedures are related to the day-to-day activities relating or around security, and some of them are as simple as having your user force them to change the password every 3 months, or to have all kinds of other security procedure and protocols in place, either human, automated, product based, or whatever. And these things are very important when you're looking towards creating a good security posture around your environment. So the mixture of common sense, security products, and security procedures are a good way to protect any kind of asset or threat. And there is obviously a mix between those three. So it's not only one, it's not only two, it needs to be all three of them together. And this is what will give you security. And the next thing that I want to cover in this slide is some of the common security products. So I've listed here some of the products that you'll probably heard of, even if you're not in the space of security or IT even. I'm pretty sure your dad knows what is an antivirus is just by hearing it from everywhere. Don't worry, I have an antivirus. So we'll talk about threats in a bit, but antivirus is pretty much the norm of all machines today. If you're running a latest Windows machine, it already comes with Windows Defender, which is the Microsoft antivirus free software. And it's also, there's a lot of antivirus vendors out there that are providing antivirus solutions. And the main idea behind an antivirus is to protect you from threats that are considered known. And I want to touch on this topic maybe in a later slide, but let's just put the full, very simple concept in place that if you have a virus, which is a malicious code or something that is designed to do some damage or do something that you don't want to run on your computer, this antivirus software is basically have a list of all the viruses that are known until this point. And these viruses always get changed and updated, and new viruses come out. And the point of the antivirus is to always keep you up to date with the newest updates towards the list of malicious files. And this is something that's called signature based protection. And this is the traditional antivirus. There's a lot of vendors today that are talking about next gen antivirus, advanced behavior based antivirus. There's all kinds of things. But if you look at the base antivirus, it's talking about having a list of all the bad files that exist and matching or checking every file against this list. And this is something that is updated every day or every hour from the vendor that's providing the antivirus. I gave the example of Windows Defender. So Windows Update is responsible for updating the Windows Defender. And this is how it works. So you have a list. Windows Defender gets a new list from Microsoft every day, and it prevents from files that are known viruses to be run on your environment. The second thing that I listed here is Firewall, and Firewall is something that's also pretty much standard today. Almost every environment has a firewall. Every house router, almost all of them have a firewall inside them. A firewall is pretty much a mandatory network equipment at this point, and it's been commoditized. So you have a firewall in pretty much any Linux machine, any router, any everything, to be honest, that runs on the network today. And obviously Windows machines have a firewall as well. So a firewall is basically a component that can either sit on your machine or in the network and prevent or allow traffic to come in or go out from your machine or your device. And this is what its main function. There's a lot of depth in firewall today, and it's also a very advanced tool if you're looking at the big vendors that provide firewall. But it's not because of the traditional firewall items. It's because of a lot of other things that a firewall does today that are related to a lot of other topics in security. To name a few, you can also have an IPS on the firewall, which is a more advanced behavior-based signature to protect from threats that are propagating in the network. You can have all kinds of other tools relating to DLP, which is data leak protection or data loss protection. People are trying to steal files from your environment out, and the firewall will be able to block it. And there's all kinds of other tools and things that are related to firewalls that are much more advanced than what I want to cover in this video. Another thing that I listed here is a proxy or web filter. And the concept of users surfing the internet is not new, and it's something that is pretty much exists in all work environments today, home environments and such. there is a way to have all the users serve the internet through a filter or through a proxy. And those things are, for example, things that can block away categories of sites. So you don't want your employees to go to gambling websites. That's okay. You can put a filter rule in the web filter, or you can put a rule in the proxy or a category and say, if it's a gambling site, I do not want to allow the user to get to it. And then it's blocked. You can also have it running on your ISP. So your internet provider will block certain sites for you, sites that are maybe known malicious, sites that are maybe related to something that is against the law in your country. So there's a lot of things that can be covered with the proxy or web filter to also protect your customers. So that is a very common security practice today. Email gateway is another very important topic, and this is basically referring to protection to the email content. So if you're asking yourself, what does it mean to protect the emails? So first of all, spam and all kinds of annoying emails that are just flooding your mailbox. If you have 1 million emails that are spam email and one email that is the real email that you want to read, obviously this is a security issue to some degree because you're basically prevented from accessing your data by a lot of spam. So those things like spam, like protecting the domain you're getting email from and protecting yourself from all kinds of annoyance is one thing of the email gateway. And the second thing is related to actual security. What if someone delivers a mail to you and inside the mail there is an attachment with a virus? So obviously you can copy and download this file to your machine and then maybe your antivirus software will find it. But you can also prevent it from the email itself to propagate. Maybe you don't have an antivirus on a specific machine and you want to kill it in the email gateway or delete it there. So the email gateway has some protection, some antivirus and other things that are protecting it as part of the email gateway stack. And this is something we'll cover later when we'll talk about more advanced threats. And the last part is backups. And I wrote backups because backup is indeed a security tool, if you would consider it. It's maybe not a tool that you use or say, I have this sexy backup tool that is ready and giving me the full solution, but it is indeed a backup tool, a security tool, what I meant to say. And the idea is that let's assume for a moment that you've been hit by a software that deleted all your data. So, surprise, if you had a backup done the previous day, or if you have a backup schedule that does a backup every 1 hour, so your files are restored. You didn't lose the data. So, a backup can be a security tool. And in today's environment, where one of the main threats that exist today is ransomware, which I'll cover in the next video, and we're talking about backup as being a mandatory security platform or product. If you don't have a backup solution in your environment, or even I'll go a step further in your home environment, you're basically taking a risk that the first person that will attack your environment is going to basically corrupt all your data and you're going to lose it. So, very important. And again, common sense, very crucial to have common sense as a product. And if people will be more aware of security and or be more aware to the mistakes that they're doing with security, it will improve the protection of all the environment and obviously protect it.